Hello, everyone. How goes this lovely morning? My name is Terry Phillipson, your senior community manager here at Portal. If you're familiar with our project, we may have spoken on Telegram or Discord. Please allow me to introduce Eric, our CEO, who's been part of Bitcoin since Satoshi's early mailing list and continued to be part of numerous Bitcoin startups.
What's up, guys? Stoked to be here.
Let's begin. So I got a question here from Roger on Telegram. Guys, did the sale already happen?
No, that is actually the big point of contention these days. We were originally targeting an October date for a clean and by the books public sale of our equity. But through a bunch of loopholes and hops that we've had to make, we've had to push the date off. We now have it pretty firm. Looks like it's going to happen within the next 6 weeks. Just going through final legal approval and all of that. And finally, the long-awaited moment of being able to introduce new investors to our cap table should be pulled off. So that's coming down the pipeline. We'll share more news as we have it.
Excellent. Don't you gotta love American regulation?
Yeah, ain't that the bear these days, man? Constant regulatory burden from every single government institution. It's such a pain in the ass.
Well, I guess they have to do something on their day job. All right, and moving on. What makes Portal different from other chains? What are some of the investment selling points from private user on Telegram?
Yeah, so the main thing here is we're really not committing to a chain design at this point. You can think of Portal more like a Lightning-like network where it is mostly payment channels of on-chain deposits that are being traded between members of that layer two set. There is not one single view of the order book. There is simply a network of peers that you may have complete visibility into or not. This sets up the opportunity for private networks, private trading groups that operate in concert. The other thing is we're really focused on the privacy aspect. So at the core level, the protocol is pseudonymous in the same way that Bitcoin is. We're not interested in introducing any further identity on top of that. There are discussions on some of these spot markets, spot networks that allow for smaller, tighter groups of, say, proof of stake style contracts. But really what we're focused on in this initial thing that we're bringing to market is just the simple form of atomic swaps, being able to find peers in this layer two gossip network and participate in trades with those individuals. We will advance the feature set moving forward, and hopefully we can have some announcements on the engineering blog coming down the pipeline about some of our research in this area. But the initial focus is just to have a layer two network, which is enabling atomic swaps between Bitcoin and Ethereum as the first target pair.
Love it. That's probably one of the more commonly traded pairs that exist today.
I think only the stable coins are a little bit higher, and we've established some inroads and some engineering attempts at having compatibility with stable coins. We'll share our research on that down the line as well. But the fundamental idea of a stable coin is it is a custodialized asset. The digital version that you're holding is just a receipt for a deposit that's custodialized by some counterparty. So that's not exactly compatible with the whole decentralization ethos of Bitcoin and cryptocurrency at large. While the Ethereum ecosystem is happy to kind of just adopt that because mad gains. That's a whole nother thing. But we're trying to build something that's actually resilient against state level attackers. unstoppable trade is our mission. So we really need to think carefully about how we integrate anything that has that sort of implicit centralization and often concealed counterparty risk into our stuff.
Ooh, there's a lot there that I hadn't considered. From Sean Chung Won, what legal implications does building on the blockchain have? Meaning, is it safer in terms of SEC regulations?
Well, the thing is, every government organization is going to classify Bitcoin as something separate. I think it's safe to say within the court system, if you're going to rely on it, Bitcoin is property. I think there's sufficient precedent to set it as property. It may also be classified as a commodity, a digital commodity. That's one aspect. But I remain fairly confident that it will not be classified as a security, whereas many of the other assets most likely will. I do know of rumblings within the SEC about Ethereum in particular. There's been discussion about them having missed the a timeline that basically they can no longer prosecute them. But it is fairly well agreed upon that most of the stuff, in the sense that all of the corners of the Howey test, promos, expectation of return, etc. Most of these other projects are deemed securities. And so I really think the government is not going to remain lax on this. I mean, the Biden administration did recently announce their executive order for basically the entire government to generate reports, do research and investigate very specifically not only the crypto ecosystem, but the development of a central bank digital currency. So the train is already rolling. It's now just a question of, what is the software that we're going to produce in people's hands that can actually operate in an environment where governments the world over are going after and freezing bank accounts on what is otherwise probably perfectly legal under their current constitution, if not developed up over the massive state apparatus through the anti-money laundering and anti-terrorist laws that have been passed in the past couple of decades. But I think that's what brings it back to providing really, really good software that is resilient and actually decentralized, as opposed to claiming to be decentralized. But when some wallet provider, some extension provider decides to shut off access to a certain country, it reintroduces that very same friction that Bitcoin really was created to solve. So we're really taking a hard left the other direction and trying to build technology that is just resilient and is actually decentralized as opposed to just claiming to be.
Ooh, got to love that arbitrary enforcement of laws that the SEC and some of those other organizations sure love to do.
I wanted to hop in there and also add to what Eric was speaking about. So I'm one of the founders of Portal as well, and I intimately know what lawyers have been fearing about the SEC cracking down on token sales that have deemed the token as a security, even if the token later on becomes a fully decentralized asset on a fully decentralized network. The method by which a token sale occurs can ultimately taint the asset as being a security from now till forever. And it really depends on what the current regime is concerned about wanting to either prosecute or get rid of from the general exchanges in the United States. So if you take a look at certain assets like XRP, where the nature of whether it's a security or not is currently under question, it gets delisted from these American exchanges. That provides a huge drop in liquidity, and when the U.S. does something like that, other markets follow suit. and then you basically have an asset that is almost unavailable for trade anywhere other than either black markets or markets where they don't care about U.S. regulation. And that's not good for a global digital asset. So, one of the things that Portal has done is to make sure that the native digital asset that runs on the network was never sold to investors. It was never airdropped. It never distributed in a way that could ever be considered a security. And if you would like to see how we've done that, it's by first selling equity or equity instruments, such as a safe note or convertible note, to investors. And we highlight this in our blog post. You could actually go to blog.portaldefi.com and you can look up our no ICO post. And that basically highlights exactly our game plan in terms of how to make sure a digital asset can be compliant so it is freely transferable as Bitcoin is today. And no exchange, if an exchange should ever list it, would ever want to delist it for regulatory purposes. That's all I got to say about that.
Thank you so much for the input, George. Some of that was a little spooky. Now, what exactly is a security in this context?
So security is classified generally, kind of loosely, by this thing called the Howey test, Howey. You can look it up. There's basically 4 criteria as to whether or not something is a security. One is if it's made, it's making an offer of profits or return. 2 is like if it uses the efforts of promoters in its business or something like that. And there's a couple of others. But it emerged out of a case I believe in Florida, some orange grove in the early 1910s or 20s or something like that, leading to the creation of the Security and Exchange Commission, which we now know today that to govern all securities in the U.S. economy. But you can look that up. That's the Howey test, Howey. Yeah, I'm not a lawyer. This is not legal advice. Please consult your attorneys.
All right, thank you so much. You heard it here, guys, the Howey test. That's how you can see if something is a security or not, or at the very least have a good framework of what that constitutes.
Uh, a security is whatever Gary Gensler says a security is. How about that?
Ooh, I hope he doesn't spot my lunch then.
Yeah, so I'll just read it out very simply. Supreme Court established 4 criteria to determine whether an investment contract exists. An investment contract is, number 1, an investment of money. Number 2, in a common enterprise. Number 3, with the expectation of profit. And number 4, to be derived from the efforts of others.
All right, and moving on. Ooh, here's another related one. I live in a country where cryptocurrency is illegal, but owning an equity in a crypto based company is still legal. If the company does issue a token, would that result in me breaking the law?
We can't give legal advice here, but my understanding is that you will not be forced to take a token in any case, in that you will be given an option. But we can't confirm any details or any mechanics until we actually get to that point. So yeah, we remaining decisions will be seen, and then we'll provide updates as we can.
Fantastic. Yep, always better to be safe than sorry. Now here's from Den Sky 1. how well does your security for regular client regular client accounts work? Lately, hackers have been finding loopholes and pulling millions out of accounts in various exchanges.
Yeah, so this is really a problem with just the general design of Ethereum, and you'll see just how the way smart contracts work over there lend itself very easily to these fatal flaws. Whereas on Bitcoin, you see that contract hacks are practically non-existent. The only time you'll see something in Bitcoin hacked is when it's money centralized at an exchange, and you've given up control of the keys. So the Bitcoin smart contract model lends itself far better to much more secure constructions, much more clean implementations of these bonds, of these atomic swaps. So I really think if and where the risk exists, it's going to be facing the Ethereum side. I'm very confident in the Bitcoin side of our security model currently. So most of the effort that we're putting in, and the reason we haven't shipped product to date, is because we really need to put in that high degree of precision-based engineering to ensure that we get everything right that we can about the code, including going through an audit before we deploy everything to mainnet. So to make sure that the funds that our users actually deposit into the software that we produce are as securely protected as they possibly can be. We're responsible. The code we write is responsible for other people's money here, and we don't want to lose anybody, a single satoshi for anybody. So we're putting a lot of time and energy into just making sure we're getting that, giving it the diligence and attention that it needs to be as secure as possible. And at the end of the road, we're going to run a full audit. Fix anything that is discovered there, and then I'd very much like to open source it and get some further code review, but we will be given the green light for product launch after that audit takes place.
Fantastic. And hey, I'm sure the open source community would love to be seeing and, auditing themselves. Let's see. On to our next question. Ooh, what is the timeline for Lightning implementation or compatibility?
That is in the works currently. With engineering timelines, they always tend to stretch on. But we've got a pretty tight internal timeline of the next product release cycle to have a working implementation of Lightning at first, and we're about, I'd say, halfway there on the Ethereum layer 2 side. So we've been investigating a number of Ethereum layer 2s as well, including Raiden. And working on initial setup of test nets and implementation within our wallet. So, when this starts appearing in the actual downloadable wallet, we haven't actually put it into the App Store yet. That remains to be seen, but I can just say we've got it on a pretty tight internal timeline. Most likely the next product release cycle, where we kind of push it over to the next round. So pretty soon.
Excellent. And so that would mean compatibility both ways, correct? Meaning someone from a Lightning wallet could send within the network to a Portal wallet and vice versa, not just one way?
Yeah, that's right. That's full compatibility, both native assets on layer 1 for both Ethereum and Bitcoin, and then layer 2 channels for both Ethereum and Bitcoin. So that is the core functionality that the atomic swaps need. And from that point forward, we'll start to enable the actual offers in the wallet itself.
Love it. Now, speaking of that, we got a question here from Beast in Crypto. When does Portal plan to launch its product?
I will say the definitive answer is when it's ready. However, like I was just saying, we've got a pretty aggressive timeline. We want to basically release the wallet first, and then enable features on just a small selective basis over time. So we don't sort of overwhelm the network at first. We kind of build liquidity slowly. and make sure that these features are ready for public consumption. I mean, I can't commit to a firm date here because, again, it'll be ready when it's ready. That's the definitive answer. But we're really hoping within the next couple of months we'll have something in the marketplace.
Love it. I'm sure everyone here is itching to get into the beta testing phase as well.
Yeah, we've got some super cool things that are going to be a part of the beta. Not to mention, Lightning functionality, but another kind of secret thing that we're going to be adding that I think a lot of the privacy folks will be really excited about. So we'll see that as soon as it lands.
All right, and speaking of private, we've got a user here who participated in the private sale. Will he get a better chance of getting into the beta testing program?
So as of right now, Republic is the one managing that sale. We actually don't have picking and choosing rights. But as the terms of the deal become more clear, as we get everything much more firm and on paper, and the lawyers do all their reviews, we will announce other things about the public sale that may be helpful to you. So that's all I can say right now.
This is not about the public sale. This is a person who is an investor asking about access to our beta software, saying, "Hey, I already invested, so do I have a better chance of getting to test the software?" I'd like
On
to
the
say,
software side,
no, no, actually, because we're pretty egalitarian with who gets to test.
yeah, right now we're just doing first come first serve on the internal mailing list. If you've been a member of the Portal community, Portal ambassador, obviously we're going to try to get you in a little bit sooner, so you can get an early feature preview of what's coming down the pipeline. But all participation in the beta software is coming. We'll announce more on that on the engineering blog here in a couple of weeks, I think.
All right. Well, you guys heard it here, folks. We're going to be as egalitarian as we can, give everyone a chance, to get in on that beta. All right. Ooh. And speaking of that, from Yarmy on Discord, where will we go to download Portal? That being either for the beta or, the full product release.
Yep. So the first target platform is the Apple ecosystem. The Apple App Store on your Mac or the iTunes or Apple App Store on your iPhone. Both platforms are planned to be released at the same time. We'll even include, two-factor auth between the two devices. For some of the components like the Lightning, side of things, we are building the Lightning node and the Raiden node directly into the wallet. So it will be recommended that you do stay online. Obviously, we'll also be recommending that you run your own full nodes. After all, how can you, if you're not trusting your own full node, you got to be trusting someone else. So hopefully the wallet will make it pretty easy to configure all this stuff. Get it easy to spun up and make it real nice and fast to get spun up and running. So you will want to leave most likely your desktop client running if you establish Lightning payment channels. But other than that, yeah, it should be coming down the pipeline again, like I said, in the next couple months.
All right. And so, do you believe that a user who is not particularly technically inclined, would he or she be able to host that full node?
Yeah, we've got it. We can run pruned nodes as well. So the amount of resources that you have to consume on your machine is very small. We're targeting the SPV configuration for the mobile side, and pretty much everything else synchronizes via SPV anyways. So you can get right into the wallet. You have access to your funds. You can spend, and then the full node functionality is kind of as you prefer to allocate resources, you can turn it on and enable it, and then you can trim down the amount of space that it's using by using the prune mode configuration.
Excellent. Having those options, that's gonna be great for the end users. Now, speaking of the technicals, I've got another user here who's asking, where can I view a technical roadmap?
We have not published a formal technical roadmap as of yet. It is something we are going to do. However, on our GitHub, github.com/Fabric Labs, there are a number of projects, open source, that will give you a rough idea of the status and order of events of various tickets that are going through the system. We are really pushing on the open source side. So all of our internal process, even within private repos, is following this kind of pull request, discussion happens on GitHub kind of thing. So I do encourage everyone to kind of go dig into the GitHub and take a look around. We've got a ton of projects, a lot of things in development. Most of it at this point in time is currently open source. So you can kind of get some insight into our roadmap there. But we definitely do need to coalesce everything into something that's a little bit more clear, operating on sort of the 6 to 18-month timeline, because there's a lot of things coming down the pipeline, a lot of things that we're going to be building, part of the ecosystem and infrastructure for the service market of services that we think is going to exist inside of the Portal application, which includes many revenue opportunities for users of the Portal application. Really trying to kickstart this actual digital economy here. So yeah, just check out our GitHub. You can even go to, you dig in, there's probably a projects page, and it's just a regular Kanban style board, just kind of give you an idea of what's coming down the pipeline.
Ooh, did I hear end user revenue for the end users?
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. Out of the gate, I mean, the first thing that you can do is run a Lightning node, and that'll generate you some yield. Some of the other features that we're going to be enable will be immediate yield generation opportunities as well, and that also will help improve privacy. So, it's kind of a two birds with one stone kind of thing here. But there will also be many other forms of contracts between the DLCs, offering of Oracle services. Price prediction stuff, I think, will be a big market. Trading info, alpha, stuff like that. So I really do see that the Portal application is kind of your window into the digital economy. It's your gateway, if you will. So it makes sense to kind of open this up and make it possible for other developers, other folks to deploy cool things and generate some revenue opportunities for folks.
Excellent. And as the young people say, a side hustle almost.
Yeah, well, if you got your funds sitting there, it makes sense you'd want to generate a return on them. So if you want to put that capital to work, why not use the Bitcoin smart contracting engine to do that?
That's right. All right, and moving on. So here's another question. In recent years, the technology around layer 2 blockchain has evolved dramatically. How does Portal Finance fit into the layer 2 network explosion itself? What makes it unique and different from all those other platforms of this type?
Yeah, so I would say primarily it's embrace and extend, extend and embrace. We're adopting Lightning formally. We're Lightning compatible. We're aiming to be compatible with Liquid and all the other RSKs out there, the various side chains that people have built. We're staying very much up to date on RGB, Taro, all of the L2 stuff. Our goal here is to create a compatibility library for interoperability between networks. That's ultimately that's part of the exchange side of things, but that's also part of a broader vision for connectivity between applications and data portability between applications. So hopefully, as we get the Portal product online and we get some of these value add services kind of built in and the service marketplace kind of built out, it will become clear how important the interoperability aspect of things are. Right now, there's a huge chasm in tooling and compatibility between the Bitcoin and Ethereum ecosystems. The best things that you have over there are, wrapped tokens, which kind of reintroduce the custodialized asset problem, thus kind of unwinding what Bitcoin and cryptocurrency is all about. So there's a lot of tooling, a lot of engineering, and a lot of research that has to be done to really ensure that cross-chain compatibility right now. And it seems like not too many people have put in the work beyond just the wrap token model. So it seems like we're going to be the ones to do it.
All right. Hey, that sounds like we're going to be bringing in, an actual conjoined ecosystem to the sphere. Let's see. Oh, we got another question here. You said Bitcoin is the most decentralized and secure system. Can I know why, for example, the Ethereum network would be considered less decentralized?
Yeah, so when I say that, I'm strictly speaking in thermodynamic security. I think Bitcoin has 2 orders of magnitude more thermodynamic security on its chain. And that is just effectively the amount of energy that you would have to spend, and you can put a dollar amount to it if you want to price things in dollars, to rewrite the history of that chain. And I think, if you even project out the fiat cost, the Bitcoin chain, I think, is 2 orders of magnitude against the closest thermodynamically secure chain behind it. And you can talk about the proof of stake chains. They have a fundamentally different property, where proof of work is secure up to 50% plus one. Proof of stake has a trade-off in that in a fault condition, it has to halt. And a fault condition occurs not at 50% plus one as it does in proof of stake, but 33%. So there are different trade-offs in proof of stake, independent of what you believe about thermodynamic security. Yeah, I really just Bitcoin is really the only answer for me personally. That's what I'll accumulate my wealth in. But there's obviously revenue opportunities and liquidity flows that are moving around in the digital economy that you might want to capture or get exposure to. So, opening up the pipelines and the pathways for moving things around is essential for this, next phase of the ecosystem's development. Yeah, I think Bitcoin at the end of the day is kind of the time chain. It is the distributed ledger, the global record of account. You can do lots of things with other chains, but they're in degraded security configurations. I think they all make great test nets for things that can be built on top of Bitcoin in the future. I think the space still has a long way to go, especially as we kind of move into this era of collaborating with, the top tier banks of the world, the central banks included. And they're expecting a degree and level of sophistication that I don't know that the entire crypto community has prepared itself for at this point.
Whew. But hey, I think we'll get there. And speaking of the industry, the crypto industry is a rather fast paced one. How flexible is Portal to change quickly and to keep pace with the technological trends? What is your long-term vision for the forecasting of the industry in which Portal Finance operates?
Yeah, it's kind of funny. We've hired a lot of really good engineers and a lot of great folks on the team. But it seems like half of us also operate as analysts most of the time, as we sort of like evaluate new tech that's coming out on the engineering side. On the business development and marketing side and the social side, we see tons of stuff coming in, tons of comparable products, tons of new ideas, new things being done in the space. So it is kind of a constant churn of just new information. We used to say, what is it, a month in crypto is basically a year in the real world or something to that effect. It's like it just so much happens. There's new news every day. There's new developments, new partnerships, new technology deployments, new test nets, new feature deployments, new hacks, right? It really is a fast-paced and exciting industry. So really, we just try our best to stay focused on producing code, interpreting stuff that happens in the market as best we can, understanding how it might impact us as a company and how it might impact the development of the space moving forward. Certainly on the regulatory side, every time there's a new quibble from the SEC or a new comment from the Biden administration, you got the Fed, the rates are going up and down, the economy is up in the air, it's in question. So we just try to keep our heads down, stay focused on producing high quality code, and trying to separate out the whim versus the will of the market, right? We can't just just implement every brand new thing and just kind of throw ourselves at all of it. We have to be very thoughtful about what we actually implement, again, just on that security aspect. So it is kind of funny. We do operate like analysts internally, and kind of analyze news and talk about stuff on a very regular basis. So I'd say we have a very healthy culture on that side. But again, it is important to stay focused. So
I concur. And hey, focusing on code, what do you think, for instance, Taproot on Bitcoin has changed things for us? And how do you think Ethereum's, ETH 2 upgrade may change things?
yeah, so two very good questions there. Taproot, I'm absolutely stoked about. Very excited. Being able to encode a complex list of spending conditions for these more complex long-term bonds, for example, is very, very exciting. I definitely do not see Portal deploying the ZK side of things, the more complex long-running federations without the Taproot having activated. So that it's definitely good on that front. Now the ETH 2.0 thing, if it ever happens, it's going to break a bunch of stuff. We're focusing on the ETH 1 side of things, just basic standard Solidity contract deployment. So if it happens, it happens. We'll adapt and we'll adjust and we'll update our tooling. But I actually think we're going to have the product in market before the ETH 2.0 launch. So we will add it to the list of research items, the long list, the great backlog.
All right. And hey, if it happens, I'm sure we will take care of it and keep the engine running. Oh, and this is one of the last ones we've got here. Can you shed some light on some of the new engineering hires which we have seen recently on your project?
Yeah, I can't run down the list here, but I think a few of them will have spotlights on our engineering blog in the coming weeks. We did pull some high power folks from some well-known projects, kind of just further adding to our engineering prowess, I guess. I mean, it's pretty incredible. Some of these guys blow me away. And yeah, I've been doing this for a while. So.
All right. And hey, I got the last question right here. Can you give us a quick elevator pitch about Portal Finance? What is it all about? Can you explain how it relates to Fabric?
Yeah, so Portal Finance is a gateway into the financial services available in the current cryptocurrency space. It's the fast, decentralized alternative to custodialized exchanges and wrapped tokens. It is the first flagship application of the application protocol known as Fabric, which is a payment channel network where you establish state channels with peers and run arbitrary applications with mutual cosigners. So Portal should really demonstrate what's possible with a market of services around all financial services within the crypto space, and really kind of lay the groundwork for an ecosystem of Fabric speaking applications.
Fantastic. So, where will the beta sign up be?
So we have currently a test flight configuration and I believe a Google group that kind of adds you to it or something to that effect. We'll get our ducks in a row as we get closer to the release, and then hopefully we can push that out through our community managers. So get tapped into our Discord 100%. I think it seems like Discord is going to be where everybody kind of gathers up. So yeah, just keep an eye out on Discord, and we'll be sharing the links to all that stuff. George?
Yeah, if you're interested in the beta, please email help@portaldefi.com. All right, we don't have an official sign up for it yet, but we'll put you on the list. Help@portaldefi.com.
All right, guys, you heard it there. Hey, thank you again so much for coming. Thanks, George and Eric, as well.
Yeah, guys, thanks everybody who came and listened in. This was a good one.
Thank you, Eric. This was fun. Adios.
Take care, everyone. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your morning and or evening.